Hi, the purpose of this video is to talk a little bit about how you can use edPuzzle in your classroom with your math students. To begin, edPuzzle is this great tool to share videos and have students interact with videos by answering questions. It works pretty well with asynchronous work, or when you're asking students to do work outside of class to kind of get caught up on missing assignments. So there are two somewhat nice features about edPuzzles. One is that it interfaces directly with Schoology, so if you're someone who uses your Schoology account, you'll be able to easily assign work. But the other idea too is if you don't use Schoology, I'm not a big Schoology user because it's just more tracking for my students outside of Teams, you can log in directly into edPuzzle and assign work directly from there by sharing a link. So let's start by, if you're in your Schoology account, you can see in here, I'll show you this feature when you click on any class. Actually, let me go to my Tupac hour. I've created a folder where I just have edPuzzles assigned. Mostly I just did this to show you kind of how to do that. And you can see that there's an edPuzzle button down here at the side, or when you open up the folder and you assign work to students, it's going to show up where they can actually look at these videos. The better way to access this content, in my opinion, is to go right to edPuzzle. So you go to edpuzzle.com and do a login. For the first time you do it, it's going to ask you for your login information. I think the first time I logged in with my Gmail, so all my content is there, but it's linked to my Schoology account as well. You may decide that you want to do your DPS Gmail or email just to keep it synced. You can see in here I've actually created content where I recorded myself just like I'm doing now with a screencast and went over how to do something on a whiteboard, and then variously throughout this video I stopped and paused and asked the students to answer a multiple choice style question. So you can see here, like we stopped here and I, just to see if they were listening or paying attention to what was going on, I said in this geometric sequence is multiple choice questions. What's the next number in the sequence going to be after 32? And then I gave them some multiple choice. They would select the right answer. It would tell them if they got it correct, so it's good that it gives them that immediate feedback, and then they can continue on watching the video to the next question. And you can see here I stopped and paused this video I think 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they watched the whole thing and then gave me answers when they were done. So you can definitely, if you have the tools to create your own content, create your own content. I think students love seeing that it's me, although I can't say that they always find sitting in front of any video engaging, but at least it's a way to kind of check in with them when you can't see them in class. If you don't want to make your own content, you're in luck, because you can pretty much use any video that you can find on the internet. So common ones for us is to use Khan Academy videos. And if you are willing to go in and add questions in, you can find a topic that you normally would use. Like I was just thinking that my students could probably use a review of the quadratic formula. Going a little crazy on me. And so, like, I don't want to make them sit through 16 minutes, but maybe one here that's a 5-minute long video with our good friend Sal Khan, and I can watch this video, and let's just say I want to have playing in the background, but let's say I get to this point and I want to check in with my students and see if they're paying attention. So I go ahead and hit this edit. At this point, it's going to let me play the video in the background and then put in parts where I wanted to stop and ask questions. So if I paused it at this point, I can go ahead and add in a question. You can make it multiple choice. You can make it open-ended, but then you'll be responsible for grading it. Or maybe you just want to pop in a note, like something about this video isn't exactly the way you taught it, so you want to say, this is the same as, but. So like if I put in a multiple choice question, I would maybe just type my question here and say, what are A, B, and C for this quadratic. And then you can type in correct answers and wrong answers. They will show up in this exact order, so you may want to mix up the order. But you can type in 2 answers, you can add more. And when you're done, you just go ahead and hit save. So I have to have at least one option in here. What's up there? And let's say this is the right one. I'm going to give that a check. If I decided I only wanted to do 2, I'm going to hit save. And it's going to then force the students to stop at that point, answer the question, and then move on. And you can do this as many times, cut as many times as you want throughout here, or add those questions in. If you decide that the video you really like is just too long, like you want to cut out the middle of it or cut the beginning or end, you can do a cut of your video and it will actually allow you to like slice off a part of it and not show it to your students. When you're done and you've gotten everything you want, simply hit finish, and then you can actually go ahead and assign to your students. The only thing I'll say about this is if you are at this point using Schoology, you'll want to kind of just not watch this part of the video because I'll show you how to assign in Schoology. If you're just in here, you can go ahead and create a class. I just put all of my Algebra 2 students together in one class called the Kobe and LeBron hours, and assign here, assign it all, or you can actually assign manually to students if they've already enrolled in your class, and hit assign. And then you can see all of these students have previously watched this. You can give it a due date. Let's say I want to have it due next Friday. And the great thing about this part of it is when you want to share it, like say you're posting it to your wall, you can copy this link and just go into your team's wall and find that hour. You can even post it on multiple channels, do a new conversation, and just say, hey, here's the new assignment, and do a paste, and it will go out to the students. I don't actually want to do that. I'll confuse them since that video is not long enough to be assigned to them. But that's as simple as it is if you're working and you don't want to go the Schoology route. If you are thinking to yourself, man, I don't even want to deal with editing, there are some things that you can do to just find content that's already been created by another teacher. So if you go into edPuzzle content and you search on the same thing, like maybe you're just saying, I trust some other teachers to come up with some great ideas, so you're searching, you can then look for videos. It will give you kind of an indication of how many questions and how long it is. Like this is a 9-minute video with 10 questions. Here's a 5-minute video with 4. So that gives you an idea like how much time are you wanting your students to spend, how in depth do you want them to go. So it gives you kind of a quick look. Like here's a 7-1 with 9 minutes. That might be about what I was thinking for my students, and you can watch the video and see if you like it. And if you do, you can just assign. If you want to edit it yourself, you can do a copy feature and then edit it on your own. Once you kind of get some of your own content in there, if you are someone who uses Schoology, you can go into your Schoology courses like we were just in. Let me go to my 6th hour class. I have an edPuzzle. I kind of created this to show you this feature because I ran into some issues when I was doing this work last semester. So I'm in here. If I want to assign an edPuzzle, I simply go to edPuzzle. I should have already looked, like here, for example, is my quadratic stuff. There's some other things that I've assigned from last semester as well, but I should have already looked at edPuzzle to find what I wanted. But let's say I want to assign this to my students. I click the little eyeball and I hit assign. It would seem like after you hit assign, you should be indeed done, but my students have told me that they have issues getting in directly from Schoology unless, once you've assigned it, you go to the little cog on the end and hit edit, and then hit enable editing, give it some points. You don't have to necessarily give it a due date, but you probably will want to. And then whatever you're doing with your Schoology, you can hit that and then save the changes. So then when your students come in and see this assignment, it will play the video right here, and then it will give you, once they've done that, the student's name and then what their score was for that. So it kind of will auto grade it for you within the Schoology app. So that's a nice feature for it. But I would say that I've had some success with students who miss a lot of class and really just want to catch up on the content of finding some pre-made puzzles, like doing it as an alternative assignment. And in some cases, if we did something really like you only, if you weren't in class, you really missed out, then I would create an alternative assignment for them and assign it as an edPuzzle. So those are some of the things you can do with edPuzzle. I encourage you to reach out and ask questions. I'm not the 100% expert on it because I use it sparingly in my classroom, but it does have some cool features. Good luck, and I hope that you find some success with whatever virtual tools you're using.